President Harris planning to address the results of the election. A somber crowd at her alma mater, Howard University, told to go home last night.
We will continue overnight to fight to make sure that every vote is counted, that every voice has spoken.
And a look at the electoral map shows Trump surpassing that magic number of 270 electoral votes. ABC News, in fact, calling Wisconsin for Mr. Trump about 30 minutes ago right here on ABC, pushing Trump over that magic threshold of 270. Good morning on this morning after Election Day. It's Wednesday, November 6th. I'm Mike Marza.
I'm Shirley Nellicut. We are going to be getting you weather and traffic in just a bit. But first, our team coverage of the 2024 election.
Still breaking down all the numbers, but not only did Republicans win the presidency, they also won control of the Senate. Control of the House still unknown at this point.
We have team coverage of the historic 2024 election. Let's begin with ABC's Christiane Cordero.
This morning, the American people have elected its 47th president of the United States, re-electing Donald Trump hours before the race was called and moments after securing battleground Pennsylvania. Trump stepped on stage in front of a crowd of supporters and declared victory.
We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy? But it's a political victory that our country has never seen before, nothing like this.
At Howard University in Washington, D.C., Harris's watch party started with music and dancing, but turned chilly when the crowd was dismissed with no appearance from the VP.
She will be back here tomorrow to address not only the HU family, not only to address her supporters, but to address the nation. So thank you. We believe in you.
Down the ballot in some states enshrining the right to abortion access, it passed in Nevada, Arizona, and Missouri. A similar measure failed in Florida, which was one of the nation's strictest abortion bans. It needed a 60% majority to pass. Florida becomes the first abortion-related ballot initiative to fail since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade.
That was Eyewitness News' Phil Tate reporting. So much has been made about Pennsylvania, and that's where Eyewitness News reporter Josh Einiger has spent the past few days reporting from Philadelphia in particular. Josh, good morning to you. There's going to be a lot of debrief happening on the Democratic side in particular about how this happened, what happened. Clearly, the blue wall collapsed for the Democrats. What are you hearing from the Harris campaign or even from some of her supporters about that, what was a controversial choice in not selecting the uber popular governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, as her running mate when she instead went with Tim Walz?
Well, you know, Mike, first of all, good morning to you from Philadelphia. The sun's just coming up. I think a lot of people here in Pennsylvania actually have not heard the news that about Donald Trump's success last night. Here in Pennsylvania, they are still counting the votes, although it certainly seems he's quite far ahead. It's really unclear that Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, in this scenario would have made much of a difference. Of course, Trump has managed to get past 270 electoral votes without Pennsylvania. That said, Shapiro was a full-throated endorser of Harris's and is, in fact, quite popular here. So I think there's a lot more at play and a lot more soul-searching for the Democratic Party in terms of how we got here that perhaps way transcends the choice of a vice presidential candidate.
Josh, it really speaks to how divided this country is right now. And I know you spoke to voters on the ground there. What do you believe made Trump a more favorable candidate in their eyes?
So Charlene, we spoke yesterday. We've spoken for a couple of weeks now about the undecided voter. They show up in polls, and a lot of people have looked at that and thought, how could there be undecided voters given the divide in this country and given the polarization in this country? We met one yesterday in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, in the town of Doylestown. It is really, or at least has been believed to be, really a split 50-50 community. This woman we spoke to, a woman who had voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. She voted for Joe Biden in 2020. And yesterday morning, she woke up still undecided, and she went in and she cast her ballot for inflation, the economy, and because of immigration. And remind you, she's living in a community that is in the far distant suburbs, a solid hour away from Philadelphia, not a community that has been dealing necessarily with the migrant crisis the way Philadelphia has, the way certainly New York has, and yet this was her perception of where the country was, and her perception that Trump was, or another Trump administration was the way for the country to get past these challenges. So, you know, this is all very anecdotal. I think there's going to be a lot of, as I said, soul searching, a lot of research into, you know, the mind of voters, and how the vice president had been unable to run up the numbers, even that President Biden did 4 years ago in these so-called blue wall states, that blue wall crumbling because of it. So I think we're going to hear a lot more kind of empirical data about this. But that's one voter's story who was a Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden voter who yesterday in Pennsylvania voted for Donald Trump. There certainly were a lot more like her, and that's clearly why we are where we are. Charlene and Mike.
All right. Josh Einiger, live in Philadelphia. Thanks so much, Josh. Now to